Hello everyone, my name is Megan Rebello and I am one of the marine mammal researchers that has been involved in the large mass stranding of longfin pilot whales in the Chatham Islands of New Zealand. I think this is very important to discuss as this happens a lot in New Zealand with longfin pilot whales and often in large numbers, leading to large amounts of mortality. It is important to discuss and think about the characteristics of the longfin pilot whales that may be contributing to their mass strandings, as well as exactly what a mass stranding is, how these whales navigate throughout the ocean, and maybe hypothesize why this stranding has occurred. So first I wanted to include a picture of what one of these mass strandings would exactly look like. Some people think that when a mass stranding occurs that um, people can just go back out there and push these whales back into the ocean, everything will be fine, but that often is not the case. A lot of these whales die, and they often die before responses even get there. Um, As some of them can be saved, it often leads to high mortality rates within the species, which is very unfortunate, and research is ongoing with this species to see why they are stranding so often. So, importantly, I wanted to go over what exactly a mass stranding is. A mass stranding is actually when two or more marine mammal species are stranded on the beach and or they beach themselves at the same time in the same location. These numbers can vary from 2 to several hundred, even has gotten into the thousands. As stated by the Marine Mammal Protection Act, mass strandings are often unexpected and they do involve a significant die-off of these populations, as I stated before, which is very unfortunate, and they often demand immediate response from rescue teams in order to save as many whales as possible when these events occur. The causes for these mass strandings, as I said, is very variable. Sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly why these whales have stranded. Some of these causes can be prey distribution, where their prey species moves more inland, causing them to beach themselves. Exposure to harmful algal blooms such as red tide, which can cause them to have neurological issues and can cause them to also beach themselves. Different illnesses, human interactions, noise pollution from vessels is often a leading factor in human interactions that can cause changes in echolocation, which can also cause these whales to strand. What I also wanted to go over quickly is the difference between short fin pilot whales and long fin pilot whales. As you can see, the long fin pilot whales have a larger pectoral fin, and they're often a little bit larger, and the melon size on the front is a little bit rounder on the longfin pilot whale, and the longfin pilot whales have more teeth than the shortfin pilot whales, but they are often mistaken for each other because they look very similar. So, characteristics of the longfin pilot whale that I find important with these mass strandings is that they are very social animals, so they are often associated in large pods, and they can break up into pods of 10 to 20 individuals. They have very stocky black bodies that are robust and help them navigate and swim throughout the ocean. They consume a lot of squid. They also consume crustaceans and fish, but squid are their top prey choice. Their bulbous melon in the front can help them with echolocation and helps them find their prey and locate where they are within the ocean. They are able to dive up to 2,000 feet, but they are often feeding around 650 feet to 1650 feet. They are an offshore species, so they are residing in the North Atlantic Ocean and in the southern hemisphere in the Southern Ocean. And they are known to follow their prey inshore and onto the continental shelf, which could also be contributing to these mass strandings. So, as I said before, their distribution, they are found in temperate and colder latitudes of the North Atlantic Ocean, and they are found in all of the Southern Ocean. There was a population that was found in the temperate and cold latitude of the North Pacific, but have since been extinct, which is possible from overhunting. I also wanted to discuss how they navigate, and I found this chart very helpful in discussing how echolocation actually works. Basically, they are sending a signal out and they receive a sound wave back to associate where their food is, what kind of prey item it could be, also detecting predators and where exactly they are within the ocean. And bats also have this ability, which is kind of cool that they can also find their prey from echolocation and bouncing sound waves off of prey items. So this mass stranding of over 100 longfin pilot whales was in the Chatham Islands, which is around the circle and located off the coast of New Zealand. This is a very high longfin pilot whale mass stranding hotspot, and it was actually home to one of the largest stranding in New Zealand of over 1,000 pilot whales in 1918. Here are some more maps. On the left, we have the mass stranding events of longfin pilot whales in the Chatham Islands. And as you can see, they strand in high numbers, which is very concerning for the species. I also included on the right side mass strandings of the longfin pilot whales in New Zealand. So as you can see, New Zealand is a popular place for longfin pilot whales to strand. This chart is also helpful in noticing that pilot whales are well known to strand in high numbers around the islands, and it is very concerning. As you can see with other whales, it is not as common, or they often strand in single numbers, with the um, circles being just one individual stranding and the X's being large masses of stranding. So, possible reasoning, as with all the characteristics discussed earlier in the presentation, there can be multiple reasonings why this mass stranding has occurred in Chatham Islands. One possible reason is that their prey items, specifically squid, have been found over the continental shelf and often stay within the 300 to 500 meter range, which can often cause these whales to strand as they are in large social groups, and when they go to catch their prey, they might not be aware of how far inland they are actually going, and they may accidentally beach themselves. Another important note, as these strandings are very common in the New Zealand and the Chatham Islands. The Chatham Islands are known for having gently sloping beaches, which have been linked to poor echolocation signals, meaning that when these whales try to echolocate for their food, the sound waves don't bounce off the same, and it can often lead the whales to be disoriented and not understand where exactly they are in the water column, which can also lead them to strand very easily. Other possible reasons include that they are an offshore species, so they might not be familiar with the coast and the tides and the currents that are associated with getting inland closer to the coast. Um, like I said before, they're very social animals and can be found in large numbers. So when one is following the other, it's very easy for a mass stranding to occur. Pollution and human interactions are other possible reasonings for why these pilot whales would strand, but it possibly could be a combination of many of these reasonings. So my hypothesis as to why um, this unfortunate mass stranding in the Chatham Islands has occurred is I believe that as these whales are very social, they were in large groups and they possibly were hunting for prey such as squid in shallower waters, and they reached an a dead zone for their echolocation where it was disoriented, so they could have been disoriented in their area when they were looking for their prey, and then they got confused and accidentally beached themselves. And they all followed each other, so when one beached themselves, it kind of cascaded into these large numbers of over 100. And these are my references. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.